Morning. It's Sunday, February 4th. And before I start talking about what I want to talk about, I want to remind everybody that this is the beginning of tax season. And I say don't take that lightly. Get your papers ready. Start gathering the information that you need to pay your taxes. Whether you take the information to an accountant to have it done, or whether you buy TurboTax, or whether you just do it on your own. Get ready because April 15th will be here before you know it. And I'm telling you that because I started to do that work yesterday, and I was looking at a bunch of papers and everything, and I realized how much I have left to gather, and not everything has already been presented to me, because much of the paper that you need comes through the mail in some form or other, and then you have to wait for it and then get it assembled and get everything in the proper order before you take it to the accountant or before you put it on your TurboTax or whatever methodology you use to get it ready for filing. So that's just a heads up. Start working on your taxes now. So what I want to talk about now is the upcoming trial of Donald Trump with respect to his actions as an insurrectionist. Now, if the conservative justices actually believe in something called originalism, then they must disqualify Trump. And that's because of what the Constitution says in Section 14, Item 3. And we all know what that is. That says if any political officer wants to run for office, they can't be involved in anything that looks like an insurrection. And that wording is very clear. And so if you're an originalist or a conservative justice, then you must believe in the wording of the Constitution. Now, it's very funny because I have always talked about the actions with respect to gun violence, and I made fun of the fact that the Constitution says something like a well-regulated militia. And I'm saying that people who own guns are not necessarily members of a well-regulated militia, and therefore we should be able to suppress guns from the public. But there's another section in that particular region of the Constitution that countermands the sentence related to the well-regulated militia. And that sentence states the right of the people to keep and bear arms. So that is a direct contradiction to the well-regulated militia statement. And so I would have to lean the other way now in my thoughts about what the Constitution says about bearing arms. So the Constitution is a very tricky document. And if you want the Supreme Court, in this particular case about insurrections, to react to it as the Constitution is written, then you have to accept the fact that the well-regulated militia is not the only thing that the Constitution says about gun violence. And if you have to come to that conclusion, then you must also come to the conclusion that Donald Trump should not be allowed to run for re-election because he participated in an insurrection. And that's the case that will come before the Supreme Court on Friday, February 8th. And the issue is the disqualification under the 14th Amendment, Section 3. Now, the Colorado Supreme Court disqualified Trump from its ballot, and its determination is under review right now. Now, we have 6 conservatives who would obviously want to keep Donald Trump, the GOP frontrunner, on the ballot. But it appears that they are conflicted by their doctrinal bias of textualism and originalism, and that is going to stand in their way, because if they believe in the wording of the Constitution, then they have no choice but to disqualify Donald Trump from running. And based upon the decisions that these Supreme Court members have come to in recent times, one would expect them to disqualify Donald Trump. Just look at what they did under the Roe versus Wade decision, where they went against precedent of over 50 years and declared that abortions were improper and should not be allowed. So now they're sitting on the tip of another iceberg. Now, Trump, in his brief, doesn't argue about the law or anything like that. He argues that the challenges to his candidacy threatens to disenfranchise tens of millions of Americans who are choosing to stick by him and vote for him. And it promises to unleash chaos and bedlam. Well, if he's so worried about chaos and bedlam, then he should just step down. But that is not what Donald Trump will do. So when you look at the case that overturned Roe versus Wade, where Justice Alito said, we cannot allow our decisions to be affected by extraneous influences. So I believe that in the court, they don't care what the people think. And Donald Trump's argument that millions of people are on his side doesn't hold any value in attempting the Supreme Court to bring in a verdict that he would like, a verdict that goes against Amendment 14, Section 3. So right now we're sitting in this situation, which could really cause chaos in this country. And the Supreme Court has to come up with the proper decision. And it can't be influenced by what the general public believes. And it's obvious that this court has gone against many precedents, including the one on abortion and others. So I think this contentious situation about Donald Trump's insurrectionist activities will come to the court, and the court will make a proper decision. I believe that. And so we must be prepared for the aftermath of this decision, because I believe that Trump knows he's right about the personalities of his admirers. I'll call them admirers, even though I don't know what there is to admire. But I think we're sitting on the brink of a very tenuous situation. So let's wait and see what happens and hope for the best. Have a great day. Bye.